What's up, everybody? Angron's swollest son here, and today I have a question for you. A question so deeply complex that even Zeech cannot answer it, and not even the Black Library has the answer to this oh so complex question. And it's a question I ask all of you on YouTube who are interested in 40k. Does Warhammer have good guys, or are there good guys in Warhammer? So personally, I'm of the school of thought that there are two answers to this. There's the nails are biting, very simple. Yes, there's an answer to this, and the answer is sure. There are, maybe, not really, but sure. But then the second answer is a lot more nuanced and complex, and quite frankly, probably correct. But before I even get into those, I just want to specify, in this hobby, there are quite a bit of people who think, one way or the other, and they somehow think that one opinion is right. When in actuality, Warhammer's a very vast and expansive setting. So it's okay to have different opinions, because more often than not, there is no one right answer. There can, in fact, be multiple right answers. That's why the setting is so glorious. There is so much room for interpretation and personal thought. You can, in fact, be right. But you can also come in the comments and say, Connor, you idiot, no wonder the nails are so deep in your brain that they've replaced 90% of your thinking, you fool. You're actually wrong. And you know what I'm going to say? Exactly. Anyway, so first, the simple answer would be, yeah, there's good guys, but you're not going to see them. And, here's what I mean. You'll see guardsmen, any sort of loyalist perspective. They're not good guys. There could be good people, but ultimately they serve the cruelest and most totalitarian, autocratic, destructive, regime in the setting. It's been described as such in books. The Imperium of Man is in fact needlessly cruel and very exceptionally cruel in a lot of aspects. In just general citizen treating and just overall the lack of care for individual life. It's quite disgusting. So you can see some good people or even heroes. You can obviously recognize that there are some impressive people who serve within the Imperium of Man. Oleanus, Pius, Sigismund, they're Saltarvitz, Garviel Loken. There are some heroes there, and I'm not going to deny that. But ultimately, the regime they serve is not good, and by default you can obviously call into question some of their more questionable beliefs because of the regime they serve. The Tau are not good guys either. They're not space communists, but if you've read some of their books or you're interested in them, there is some noticeable discrimination between the Tau and the species that are under their care and employ. There's pretty obvious speciesism and discrimination of humans and other auxiliary races that are included. A lot of bickering and a lot of talking down to. I would not say they're the good guys either. Orcs obviously are not the good guys. Tyranids aren't. The Dark Eldar are, in fact, and this may come as a surprise to some people, not good. The regular Eldar, if they had the chance to be, immortal again and not worry about Slaanesh, they would obviously go back to not giving a shit about anybody but themselves, because they would engage in their hedonistic, lifestyles again. Harlequins included in this, Dark Eldar, all of them are really grouped into this. Leagues of Votann don't really give a shit about anybody but themselves, and profit margins and maintaining some source of resource management equilibrium. They don't give a shit. Sorry, that's just kind of how it is. Every faction, the whole thing is that there's no good guys, right? So that's kind of the simple answer. No, you'll see some good guys, but ultimately their morals are sort of irrelevant if you compare them to the faction they belong to, because of course that's kind of how it's going to be, right? The more nuanced question or answer I'm going to give you is, yes, I am of the firm belief there are good people in Warhammer. There are good guys, but you're never going to hear about them, because it would not be even remotely entertaining if we just read a book about some dude on some agri world farming special carrots that get imported to Terra. That doesn't make for a good story. Nobody gives a shit about the random farmer on, Kasealon 4 or Beta Shorza Leza 12. No one cares about the random agri worker. Nobody cares about the one manufacturing worker who maybe gives his extra corpse starch to his son when they're starving. There are objectively good people in this setting. There have to be. You're just never, well, there don't have to be, but you're never going to hear about them, okay? Never, because they're not entertaining and it doesn't make for good stories. But like you can also acknowledge that there are heroes and there are people who are morally exceptionally impressive, you know, compared to their counterparts in the same faction, like I mentioned previously. Sigismund, Saltarvitz, Rylanor even, what's his name? Bjorn, the Dreadnought, the Anchorite, who's also a favorite of mine. I think he's really cool. Since I've been playing Space Marine 2, I've been on a real big Dreadnought binge because I think they're actually so cool. But that aside, you know, or even, surprise, Jin Zar, you know, Eldrad, you know, and you know, you can find exceptions to the rule in every faction, maybe except Orcs and Tyranids, because let's be real here, and Drukhari. Vect isn't going to be feeding, you know, a random starving Eldar child and be like, here you go, son, I see you're struggling. He's probably going to be like, you know, you're poor. You know, Vect's not a good guy. You get what I'm saying? But, you know, my point still stands. You can find some exceptions to the rule, but they're not going to be so widely available. Even the most heroic characters in Warhammer have some really problematic and quite frankly, I guess, I don't know if this is the most appropriate word, evil tendencies, right? So there's this really famous excerpt, and there might be some context missing, and there's some bias involved because I haven't read it, and I'm not the biggest Ultramarines fan, but they've been growing on me since they're pretty much everywhere in Space Marine 2, obviously, where Kato, however you say it, Sicarius, is having this discussion with a watercast Tau and basically has her on the ropes and is going to kill her. And she says, would your Gene Father be proud of what you're going to do? And he thinks about it for a brief second, stomps her skull out and says, yup. I don't think a good guy would do that, you know. I may be a world eater and my idol may be a literal manifestation of violence and bloodshed, but I don't think a hero would kind of go up to, you know, genetically at least, someone who's at such a ginormous disadvantage and just go, your head looks really squishy today, and just pops it like a fucking balloon. I mean, come on, let's be realistic here. No, but to answer everyone's question, again, I am of the firm belief there are good guys in Warhammer. You're just never going to hear about them because they're not as entertaining as the dude who just pops the friggin' watercast Tau's head off, because that's fun, it's violent, it's disturbing, and that is ultimately kind of some of the greater appeals of Warhammer. You know, I'm in it for the nitty-gritty violence and despair because it adds to the characters. The suffering builds the characters. Again, not some random agri worker who just, you know, is working with his family and pulled out a potato and says, guys, this harvest has been going great. Maybe that would be, some people would probably like that book. I probably wouldn't buy it, I'm gonna be real, but, you know, that's my opinion on this, but I would love to hear what you guys think. Do you think that Warhammer has good guys, or are there good guys, and I'm gonna use the quotation marks, are there good guys in Warhammer? Let me know. I love hearing what you guys think, because some of you guys are, I'm gonna say all of you guys are pretty intelligent when it comes to Warhammer, and you guys say some really interesting things that make me reevaluate the stuff that I read, so leave comments down below, and if you watched the whole video, thank you so much, and thank you for 200 subscribers, guys. Slowly closing the way to 500. I'm a world eater, so I can't do math, so it feels like we're basically at 100 million subscribers right now, so keep it up, guys. But no, on a serious note, thank you. It's seriously really appreciated. But other than that, guys, I will see you next time.